Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Religion of Human Nature podcast. I'm your host, Rabbi Jeremy Fine. I've got two wonderful guests today from the Mary Tyler Moore Show and many, many other things. The legendary Ed Asner. Ed, how are you today? Was that Yiddish?
Yeah.
and we have Jamie Farr from the legendary MASH. Jamie, how are you?
I'm fine. I feel like I'm being with my mishpucha right now.
You are. I'm doing bar mitzvahs after this. If anyone needs to re-up, okay.
Your navel looks clean to me.
All right, sounds good. So, Ed, I want to start with you. You've been on some classic shows and movies. What's the biggest thing acting has taught you about telling stories?
Well, the more you're infused with the character of what you're doing, of who you're playing, the more believable and funny it will be.
That's true. Yeah. So the more, some people say like turn your energy, right, or turn your character up, just be an extension of you up, 110%. Jamie, do you feel that's true too? Telling stories is sort of an extension?
When you say telling stories, are you talking about the playwrights, or are you talking about the actors that are interpreting what the playwrights are?
I'd say both, either or.
Well, it's very important. Again, we were always taught to make sure, and especially when you do a play, and a Neil Simon play or any of the playwrights, that you do what they tell you. Use the words that they have, because they're very important. They specifically pick those words to have you find your character for you. Yes, it's very, very important to read within the lines. Ed Weinberger did a fantastic job on The Two Jews Talking. I was on the floor laughing. He was just absolutely wonderful.
Good.
So, go ahead, Ed.
Example of what happens when an actor changes a word.
What happens when an actor changes his words?
What you mean when they ad lib?
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't do that on MASH. I don't know what Ed did on Mary Tyler Moore, but we stuck pretty much every time the script was okayed, we had to stay with it. And if you wanted to change a word, you'd have to call the front office to do it. It was done like the playwrights do in the theater.
That's the way we did it.
Yeah, it seems like Larry David is the one who sort of changes that model a little bit, where he encourages sort of the ad-libbing for like Curb Your Enthusiasm and Seinfeld and such.
Because he didn't have enough original script.
Right.
But to be strict constructionists, so to speak, and you may lose a bit of genius by not allowing divergence, but in the end, you'll be hitting the homer most of the time.
So both of you were in historic sitcoms. Is storytelling harder when it's a sitcom or a comedy versus a drama? And is there any difference to the actor?
Well,
go ahead, Ed.
We should be more explicit.
Okay, so when you're in a comedy or a drama, is there a different mentality to telling that story? Is it harder to land jokes, or is it harder for people to really sort of buy into your emotions, which you might be telling through maybe a little more body language?
It's still not clear.
It's not clear.
When you're doing a comedy, you've adopted the raiment of what you're in. It's the style. It's commedia dell'arte, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you're wearing has to apply to the scene you're in. And if you don't have the right clothes on and are mistaken for somebody else, or you're not being attended to, then you're nothing. Now, Jamie, it's your turn.
I think what we're trying to say is honesty is what you need. Whether it's a comedy or whether it's a drama, it's the honesty of the character and what the writer is trying to convey. Play the scene. That's what's so important. You know, if you play it, you never go for laughs in a comedy. What you do is you go for the sincerity of it because the playwright has already set it up for the laugh. It's the sincerity of the character and the delivery and the relationship that you have between the two characters or the three characters or whatever is going on.
It's being able to freeze the face, to say your line, to say the comedic word that will get the laugh, and to freeze and let the laugh take off.
I love that. I love that. That's a great idea. And you said something about the costume, but I assume you mean not just what you're wearing, but also the set that you're in has to be believable. The actors around you have to be believable. Jamie, do you ever prepare differently for more of a different types of comedy or different types of roles? Or
well, yeah, actually, you do. I mean, some people. I was taught, I went to the Pasadena Playhouse, is that you try to convey what the writer or the writers were doing. We never held on Nash's show like they do on a lot of other shows where you know a joke was coming up. We never held for the laugh. We kept on going. If you got it, that was fine. But you had to play the scene. What's the scene all about? And that's what we used to do. Obviously, the networks would say, okay, you got to hold here for the laugh, and so we can put the laugh track in. We didn't have a laugh track in the operating room. We got away with that. The network allowed us not to put a laugh track in there. Otherwise, you have to put the laugh track in to make the audience feel comfortable and make the writers feel confident.
Yeah, we had David Davis. Was our assistant producer, and I believe I'm quoting him correctly when he said that he had to govern the length of the laugh. He did more editing the laugh than promoting it on our show. So you had to write gain on the laugh, which nobody ever thinks about. They think when you get the laugh, you just let it play out to the end. Not so.
Right. Well, so you two you're doing a show together called Two Jews Talking, which you briefly alluded to. Tell us a little bit about the show. I'm assuming it's on hold because of COVID, but when it starts up again, what's the show about?
Two Jews Talking.
Well, this show.
Wait a minute, Ed. I told you I only 5% Jew. It's one Jew and 5% talking.
So is the show? Are you both on stage? Are you sharing stories? Are you kibitzing? Or schmoozing? What's?
There's nothing like finding the other country Jew to make fun of. As a Jose dog, hey, Mr. Cocker.
Right.
He's a little shit.
Well, is there Yiddish in the show?
Yes.
I don't recall.
You don't recall.
A long time ago, Rabbi, I did a show called Tuesdays with Maury.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to learn some Yiddish words in that. Maury Schwartz, who was the teacher, and my cardiologist was Jewish, but he didn't know anything about Yiddish. He knew about Hebrew. So I'd go to him and ask him, can you help me with this? He goes, no, that's Yiddish. He says, I can do Hebrew, but I can't do Yiddish. But there is Yiddish and Hebrew, I think, in the play Two Jews Talking. My concern is at the end of the play, when they do a prayer in a prayer, and I'm hoping Ed will teach me, because it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can call me if you need help, Jamie. Okay.
Good, thank you.
The prayers I know.
I'm the last of my line, so I know the prayer very well.
Good. Good.
By the way, I learned a long time ago that Yiddish is 14th century Plattdeutsch. Plattdeutsch being the scrub ladies type Yiddish. 14th century. And it worked very well to connect Jews in all of Eastern Europe. The Sephardic Jews don't speak Yiddish. They speak Ladino, which is another bastard brogue. And I don't know what Ladino is formed from. Spanish, I'm sure, but what beyond that I can't tell. Can you, Rabbi?
Yeah, I think Ladino has roots in Spanish, and I think, I'm not so familiar. It has had a little bit, and Yiddish too, a little bit of a resurrection, because language is now kind of hip again. I don't study it, and it's not something they teach in rabbinical school. But people, they get scared of losing certain traditions of their family, so they resurrect it as much as they can and see how long it can have a rebirth. But people like niches. So the language has been really cool. Especially recently, there was an episode on a Disney show called The Lena of Avalor, which is a Disney princess TV show. And a Jewish princess named Rebecca, who was voiced by Jamie Lynn Singler, was there, and they talked about some Ladino traditions. So that also helped. Anytime there's Disney puts their hand on it, more people want to pick it up and learn about it. And Ed, I know you're on a show called The Soap Myth, which we've talked about, and you're very passionate about. What's that story about? And I know your specific role is something you're passionate about.
It's about a survivor Jew who, in the particular town he came from, those were it was the focal point for what is the name of the play again?
Soap Myth.
Soap Myth. A myth that was created after World War II, which stated that the Jews made soap, that the Nazis made soap out of Jews. And people denied it. It was denied at the Nuremberg trials, etc., and so on. And this survivor has made it his life purpose to convince the world and the skeptical Jews who are in charge that in this particular town and this particular crematorium, soap was made from Jews. And it's his battle to achieve that truth.
Yeah, I spoke with the playwright, and Jeff, and the story sounds just incredible. The whole play, and I know that the hope is to travel with it again as a passion project to around the country. Let's. I'd love to hear a story or two from either of you about maybe a favorite story you have from a set, maybe of MASH that people don't know, and Ed, you've been in so many things also. Anyone you want to share a story that just might cheer people up during this time of isolation?
You mean a story about Jews?
It could be about Jews. It could be about non-Jews. It could be about gefilte fish for all I care.
I always like gefilte fish. I think it should be promoted. I usually have two great jokes, and I don't remember them now. I've been trying very hard on them because they are priceless jokes, and it would make this interview a screaming success if I can remember them. I'll have to pass.
Okay, no problem. JB, you want to tell us a story from the set?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite stories. It's a true one. Of course, I wore all those kind of dresses on the show, and sometimes I went through the 20th Century Fox wardrobe and took out some Alice Faye outfits or a Betty Grable. Well, we found one that was a Ginger Rogers outfit. And we were going to do a takeoff on Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. I was obviously going to be Ginger Rogers, and Nurse Kelly was going to be Fred Astaire, and we did a number called Cheek to Cheek. It was a gold lame outfit. As a matter of fact, that outfit is now in the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. So it got big laughs. Everybody. The next day after the show had aired, I was in the commissary at Fox having lunch, and who's there but Ginger Rogers doing an episode of Love Boat. She sees me, she comes over to me and she says, Jamie, I saw that show where you did a takeoff on me and Fred Astaire, and you wore that gold lame dress that I wore in the show. And I got to tell you right now, that dress looked a heck of a lot better on you than it did on me.
That's great. No, I think today, in today's world, especially with COVID, stories are so important, right? To be sharing with people. How many people have come a reunion? Look, you two are having a reunion. We're even meeting people, right? Like we have not met before this, and it will connect us for the rest of our lives. And I appreciate both of you being here and sharing some of your journey with me. And I wish you both unlimited success with this show.
Are you telling us goodbye?
You want us? We can talk forever. How much time you got?
Can you imagine that? I've never been so insulted in my.
Ed,
I thought it was a machayer.
Ed, you want to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time, Elf?
Oh yes, that is a beauty, isn't it?
It really is.
All because of Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell is a genius.
He
made that movie what it is.
I think he's the greatest SNL actor of all time. And I know that's controversial, but his stuff on SNL to this day, it's not old, it is funny, it's clean. Even his tryout where he impersonates a cat, you gut laugh. He's just
his what?
He used in his tryout for SNL, which is very famous. He did Harry Carey, which he was very well known for, but he also impersonated a cat, which was hilarious. And he plays with yarn. If you ever get a chance to see it, it is dynamite. And you also had Peter Dinklage in that cast. It was a great cast.
That's the funniest bit in the world, that fight between those two. Dinklage deserves a great honor too.
Yeah, and he was Game of Thrones. I mean, he's such an incredible actor on so many different levels, Peter Dinklage. And what was it like working with Will Ferrell? Was he funny every day? Is he that? I've heard he's funny all the time. He doesn't have an off button.
I wasn't in stitches. No, I don't mean I do. But then when I see the final product, I realize how funny it all amounted to.
Yeah, he's special. Jamie, who's someone that you've worked with that you felt was a great storyteller or comedian or just a tremendous actor or actress?
Harry Morgan. Harry Morgan could do anything. He was absolutely brilliant. He was in Oxbow Incident, great movie that was made many, many years ago in the 40s. It was in Inherit the Wind. He was in silly movies like Support Your Sheriff. The man could do anything, and he could do broad comedy. He could do high comedy. He could do serious things. He was just a wonderful, wonderful actor. And it was very difficult doing scenes with him because he used to have a twinkle in his eye. It's like Carl Reiner used to say, you know, if you got a tickle in you when you're doing a scene, you can make the other person laugh. And Harry always had that tickle. I couldn't look him straight in the face in some of the scenes, especially if you got all seven of us together. We'd break up. I'm sure that happened with Ed also on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, because that was a classic cast as well.
Well, until I met Will Ferrell, I thought Ted Knight was the funniest person I had ever come across. But Will displaced Ted. I got to tell you, though, on Two Jews Talking, if people come to see it, then they better come, because they're missing a night of the century. That Jamie has all the funny lines.
Why is that?
I guess my daughter must have been a sucker for Jamie.
Is he talking about Marty and Phil and the Two Jews Talking?
Yeah.
But I assure you, believe me, you can't get past Ed Asner. He'll hold his own. Believe me. I'm honored to be playing with him in anything. He's just a marvelous actor and a good friend.
Like I was given a blank page, I'll tell you. It's really hard, but because the cause is noble, it's our self-perpetuation, I'm willing to do it.
That's beautiful. Are you guys,
You have to wait about 18 minutes for a reaction from your listener.
is there a timeline when you think the show will be back? I'm assuming you're closed because of COVID, correct?
We're trying to grease the walls as we speak.
All right. Well, hopefully you all will both get healthy and shots and make sure.
I got my shots. Ed, did you get yours?
Yeah, I got my second one the other day. And just before I went to sleep, I haven't slept well since then, but I felt a little wiggly. But thank God I avoided all the second shot repercussions.
Good. Well, good luck to both of you on that. I know that the world is waiting for entertainment to come back, whether it be sports, theater, even movies. People are just excited to be out and doing things and laugh again. Will be an incredible gift to give back to the world, and you two will be a big part of it.
Was I clear on my description of soap myth? I don't know if I was clear.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm excited, and I know that we're going to try to see that show, bring it to Chicago if we can. I know that is a big hope for us. So,
is that where you're from, Rabbi? Chicago?
I'm originally from Chicago. I'm currently in Minnesota. So Mary Tyler Moore is near and dear to people here. And I'll be moving back to Chicago this.
My wife's from Danville, Illinois, and
Yep.
she lived right around the block from Dick Van Dyke and Jerry Van Dyke, and Gene Hackman and Bobby Short, the wonderful singer, and Donald O'Connor was from Danville, Illinois. I've been there a few times. And when I was with Red Skelton, I was in Chicago a lot. We played the Chez Paris there. That was the famous nightclub that.
You do at the Chez Paris?
What's that?
What did you do there?
When did I do that?
Did you play there?
I was with Red. Yeah, that was years and years ago.
What did you do?
I did all of the introductions and helped them with any of the straight lines in that. That was owned by Donjo and Dingy Melvine. They owned the Chez Paris. And a lot of the comedians would come to them to ask them, hey, what's a good act? What's a good act? We want to do a good act. And Donjo Melvine would say, look out the window, kid. He says, yeah? He says, what do you see? He says, a parking lot. He says, what's in the parking lot? He says, a lot of cars. He says, that's a good act.
This gentleman,
What's that?
Is it still open?
No, I don't think the Chez Paris is around, is it, Rabbi?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
You two are.
No, that was the time when the nightclubs were around. Red played this Chez Paris, Chicago, the Moulin Rouge in California, the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas. I'm trying to remember some of the other places. Lake Tahoe, Harrah's at Lake Tahoe, and Harrah's in Reno as well.
What was it, Club 54 in New York? Was that?
That would be 1959 when I was with Red. I was with Red doing his live show before I was drafted into the Army, which was around 54, 55 when I did his live show. Then I got drafted, and then he went to Korea and Japan, where I was stationed, and requested me from the State Department. And I was just a private. I flew on a United Nations airplane, and we entertained all of the troops in little camps, not like Bob Hope did a big show. And we wound up at the DMZ, the demarcation zone. And when Red went home, he said, Jamie, things are going to be tough for you when you come back to get your career started again. So you come and see me. And sure enough, I got out, and my dad passed away. I was going to quit the business, and I went to say goodbye to him, and he wouldn't have it. He put me under contract, gave me money to send home to my mom, and that I owe a lot to Red Skelton.
Oh boy, that's nice. What year did you get drafted?
1957.
1957?
Yep.
Yeah, I got drafted in what was it, 52?
Wow.
53. Yeah, you got drafted for was Vietnam?
No, I was I was during the armistice time. I got drafted, and I wound up in Japan with Armed Forces Radio and temporary duty several times in Korea, in Seoul, and so forth. I actually helped open up Armed Forces television in Korea for our troops.
Yeah, I was in from 53 to 55.
Did you go to Korea, Ed?
Went to France. Not them apples.
You got a little lucky there. The food's better.
Can you, Farr? Can you?
All right. Well, thank you both. This was a pleasure. And Ed, I only have a certain amount of space to record these, so I do have to eventually end this, right?
All right. You're lucky. You're just a lucky man, a rabbi who gets to go back to Chicago.
I agree. You are.
Thank God.
Eli Steakhouse. I don't know if that's still there, Rabbi. Is it Eli Steakhouse?
I've been a vegetarian since I was 6 years old. So
really,
steakhouses don't really do much. They got Gibson's is still there. I know that.
We don't want to hear you talk about that.
No Marshall Fields.
No Marshall Fields.
Yeah,
pizza.
I love Marshall Fields.
Pizza.
Yeah, I loved it.
Absolutely. And hopefully I'll get to meet you both in person someday. It'd be my honor and pleasure.
Santa Claus in
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and I'll keep you posted, okay?
I'll be talking to you, baby.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.